Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrie and today I'm here with another book review. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. This is her newest release. I think it came out earlier this month, or by the time this comes out, it might come out in May. I'm not sure, but it came out in April. So I went to go get it like maybe a week or so after it came out. But I was very excited about this one. This is a companion story to The Cheat Sheet. It follows one of Nathan's teammates, Derek. And basically it's following him and he's getting a new agent because his agent is retiring. He just had an injury, so he's really anxious about that. He's been recovering and doing well, but he's anxious about it and with getting a new agent and everything. This agent ends up being his ex-girlfriend, Nora, who broke his heart in college. And so he doesn't really want her to be his agent, and he's kind of, you know, it's kind of like an enemies to lovers type of thing at first here. So that's what this is about. I give this book 4.25 stars, and yeah, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about why I didn't give it more, but we're going to start out with our 3 pros and then go over to your 3 cons. All right, so pro number 1 is that, I love Sarah Adams' writing. She's got a very funny and light-hearted and very easy to read writing style. So I really love that. She is becoming one of my favorite romance authors because I've just really enjoyed. I don't think I could say my favorite yet just because I haven't read that many of her books yet, but she's very much like getting to that point for me because her her writing is just so easy to read and so fun and light. All right, and my pro number 2 is that we got to see all of our cheat sheet characters again. I love The Cheat Sheet. It was my favorite book last year. It's like my top romance that I've ever read. I just loved it. So I especially love seeing Bree and Nathan again. And I loved seeing the rest of the guys too. It was great to get back into this world and these characters. I really enjoyed that. All right, and my 3rd pro is that I really enjoyed Nora. She had such a quirky and just unique character and personality to her. I really enjoyed it. She had these funny little like sayings that she would do, like she would twist, you know, like the early worm gets, or the early bird gets the worm, like those types of sayings. She would twist those and say them wrong on purpose. And it was just so funny and quirky. And she just had such a like air of confidence and like hilarity to her. She was really fun to read and really fun to get to know. And I really enjoyed her little quirky quids throughout the book a lot. All right, and now we're gonna go over, I'm gonna switch my book again. We're gonna go over to the con side. These are the 3 cons, the reasons why I didn't like the book too much, why it's not a 5-star for me, because I've only read one Sarah Adams book besides this one. So I've read The Cheat Sheet, that was a 5-star. So this one obviously didn't quite measure up, and these are some of the reasons. The number 1 reason is that this is not fully closed door. This has a sex scene in it. It has a sex chapter, actually, chapter 34. Now, I will say that I appreciated that Sarah Adams, I'll show you this, actually has a content warning and tells you that there is an open door scene if you would like to skip it, to skip chapter 34. I appreciate that. If more authors did this, I feel like a lot more people could read some more like contemporary books, but a lot of authors don't even like warn that a book is spicy or sexual in any sense. So I appreciate it, especially, you know, I assume she did this because she has been purely closed door before this, but appreciate it either way that she would do that. But didn't love that it was there. She's been purely closed door up to this point. So I really hope this isn't a new thing for her, that it doesn't start to become a pattern or a trend. I really hope she stays closed door because I think everybody really loves it that way from what I've heard. So that's definitely the number one and biggest con for me on this book. The second one is that there is some language in this, if language bothers you. It's not crazy excessive, but I do believe the F word is used once or twice, and like S word, maybe the D word, can't quite remember. I should like write it down when I'm reading, but it wasn't so excessive that it really bothered me. It's just like annoying every now and then when it was said. But if that is something that bothers you a little bit more, just be wary that this does have some cussing in it. So yeah, and then go on to our last and final con, and that was for me that after the sex scene, which I skipped over the chapter completely, but after that, the tone of the book did take a little bit of a change. It wasn't quite as light as it had been before that point, so that was a little bit upsetting to me, because I mean, I liked the end okay, but I felt like I could have liked it a lot more had the tone not changed a little bit, and the writing and their interactions after that. So yeah, those are my three pros, and my three cons. And now, if you do not want to hear spoilers, I suggest that you click away. All right, guys, so now we get down to the nitty-gritty of the gushing and the ranting side of my book review, when I talk all things spoilers and just go into details of the things that I liked and didn't like, and just thoughts that I had about the book. So I've said this before, but I really enjoy Sarah Adams' writing style. I really do. And her books are just so easy to read, and this was no exception at all. No exception. I really enjoyed this, and I'm gonna say that I was a little bit hesitant at first when I started reading, because I mean, Derek was like my least favorite of the guy characters from the cheat sheet, so I was a little bit hesitant at first. But as I read more and as I got to know him, Derek is not really the big player, whatever, that they kind of made him out in the cheat sheet. I enjoyed it more and more the farther along I got. So yeah, I started to be like, okay, this is probably gonna be at least 4-ish stars. I am gonna like go over the tropes, because I feel like this has a lot of tropes in it. I know some people like to hear that, but some people don't, so I put it on the spoiler section here. So this has a Grumpy Sunshine trope, which this was my first time reading Grumpy Sunshine. It was okay, you know, like I didn't like love it, but I didn't hate it. This also had fake dating, which fake dating is one of my favorite tropes. It had the one bed, like accidentally / marriage of convenience, second chance romance, and enemies to lovers. Was it my first time? No, it wasn't my first time doing enemies to lovers, I was gonna say. But I do think that one of the reasons that this one wasn't quite as much of a hit for me as the cheat sheet was, is because some of my favorite tropes are fake dating and like friends to lovers. Like those seem to be like the two things that I've read so far that I just like eat up and love. And this was a second chance romance. It was enemies to lovers. It did have the fake dating aspect, but I do think that's one of the reasons that the cheat sheet is so much higher for me. Obviously, it also doesn't have any sex scenes in it, but I also just clicked with Bree and Nathan in the cheat sheet a little bit better than I did with Derek and Nora. Like I said, the more I read this, the more I liked them. I did really enjoy Nora's quirky personality. But that was one thing I really enjoyed about this book too, is that Bree was like, the few times it did show her, was like, we're gonna be BFFs. Like I loved the like sisterhood thing of, she was like, there is no trying, there's only doing. She is going to be my BFF. It was hilarious. I will say another complaint I have is that we didn't see them enough. We didn't see Bree and Nathan or even the team enough. I felt like they were in the cheat sheet a bit more than the rule book. And I mean, the cheat sheet, the guys kind of like, they make up a cheat sheet and he's got games and, you know, and practice and stuff. So you do see a little bit more of the football time. The football season doesn't start until almost the end of the book. So he's on off season. He's trying to work some personal stuff out. He's trying to work out his stuff with his agent. And then all of this romantic stuff comes up too. And he's also like training and trying to get back into shape, make sure he's ready to go. So you don't see as much of the guys as we did in the cheat sheet. So I didn't prefer that. I would have liked to really see more of the guys. And there was also mention of the guys' wives. One of them, was it Price? I think it was Price, had a baby. His wife had a baby during it. And I loved how they brought that in. I really did love how they brought that in. But I would have loved to see more of them in general, you know, like 1 or 2 more like hangouts. It didn't make sense to me that, or it just, I guess it just bothered me that like Bree hung out with them all the time. But even though they had a different relationship, he still like never brought Nora around. And so we didn't really get much of an interaction with them. So I wish we would have gotten more of an interaction with everybody, but yeah, so that's one thing I really didn't prefer. Okay, so the tone of the book was also, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but the tone of the book was a little bit lighter, more like the cheat sheet. I think the cheat sheet was a bit more lighter tone, but that's obviously too because they're friends the whole time, and Nora and Derek are not particularly friends the whole time. So there is more like banter, more quits and stuff like that, but the tone of the writing style was a bit more like lighthearted and like fun, jabby, up until the sex scene. And now I will say that I think that Sarah Adams did a good job with the way she ended chapter 33 before the sex scene and the way she started chapter 35, because it really didn't seem like you missed much of anything. She did a good job like writing that to where you could very easily skip it. So that is appreciated. While I don't appreciate it being there, it's appreciated that she did do that at least and tell us. But yeah, after that, you know, the tone and some of the innuendos and jokes and kind of like comments or whatnot, it was just toned differently, and it was a little bit uncomfortable at a few parts. That was like, it just wasn't the same tone from earlier. So that was also a little bit why I wasn't like as into the end there. I will say the very end there, I loved the proposal part and I loved that backstory. That was absolutely adorable. But there was a little bit much with Nora and Derek there at the end, trying to like kick out their teammates and all that stuff just so they could get it on. That was a little bit annoying and excessive to me, but it also ended like on one of the best notes too, because my 2 favorite characters, Bree and Nathan, Bree just yells that they're pregnant. Nathan apparently didn't know. It was like the best thing ever. I was so happy over that. So I think you can tell how much I love that couple, that kind of like brightened up the end for me that much. But yeah, I really enjoyed their moments in the book, like a lot. Nora and Derek though, like I said, I just didn't vibe with them as much. The dyslexia representation for Derek was sweet and stuff. I like how Sarah Adams has seemed to like put little things like that, and she doesn't like do it to where it's like in your face or majorly like, you know, but she does it like softly and lightly in a way that just kind of feels more like realistic, like, you know, because I don't know, some books overdo things like that, and it's like, well, this isn't like, you know, it's really like not that big or that whatever if this were to happen in person. And I feel like Sarah Adams does it very subtly and very realistically, so I do appreciate that aspect, and that was like a cool little like aspect and undertone of the book. And I did like Derek a lot more in this book, obviously, because we get to know him a lot more, and he is a big sweetheart and stuff. But yeah, Nathan and Bree will always have my #1 heart for right now with the Sarah Adams universe. All right, guys, so that is all. Yeah, let me know if you guys have read the rule book by Sarah Adams. I would love to know what your thoughts are. I would love to know if you agree with any of my thoughts, or if after hearing my thoughts you're going to read it or not read it. I would just love to know in the comments below. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy reading. All right, bye guys.